Okay, so let's start talking about this IA. Can I get somebody to read the scenario in the IA out loud to us, please?
I guess I'll do it.
Thank you, Awa.
You work at the hottest bakery in the Lower East Side. Get that bread. The cookies are the best-selling item and the main source of revenue for the bakery. This recipe for 24 cookies is 1 cup butter, 2 cups sugar, 3 cups of milk, and 8 cup flour. Other ingredients like baking soda and salt that we won't focus on here. We write the above equation in the form of a chemical reaction equation.
Okay, so did anybody rewrite this in the form of a chemical equation?
I didn't know if I was right or wrong, but I put 1B for 1 butter,
Mm-hmm.
2S for 2 sugar, 3M for 3 cups of milk, and then 8F for 8 cups of flour, and then I put 24C for 24 cookies.
Oh my God, sounds perfect. That is pretty close to what I made. So 1B plus 2S plus 3M plus 8FL, so there's our only difference there, and makes yields, that arrow means yields 24 cookies. Awesome. So the reason we're doing this is we're kind of revisiting this idea of molar ratios and using molar ratios to say, if I have this much of a reactant, how much product can I make? If I want this much product, how many ingredients do I need? So let's take that equation that Julani just gave us, and let's turn those into the ingredient ratios. How would we use this equation to set up ingredient ratios? We want to pull out the coefficients, the leading coefficients. So 1 to 2 to 3 to 8 to 24. That ratio is always going to stay constant, okay? 1 cup of butter per 2 cups of sugar, per 3 cups of milk, per 8 cups of flour yields 24 cookies. If we mess up that ratio and we go 2 cups of butter instead of 1 cup of butter, we're going to end up with gross cookies. If we go 1 cup of sugar instead of 2 cups of sugar, there'll be little discs of dough, but they're not going to taste very good. So to make sure that we get the cookies that we can sell at this bakery, we need to consistently use 1 cup of butter, 2 cups of sugar, 3 cups of milk, 8 cups of flour. If we diverge from that ratio, bad cookies, can't sell them, okay? So Awa, thank you for reading the IA. Does somebody want to read this scenario? It's going to turn our IA into the activity that we're going to do. Who wants to read the scenario for us?
I can read it.
Thank you, Annie.
Every week, your friend, the manager, orders supplies, flour, sugar, butter, eggs, and milk that you use to make the cookies. Unfortunately, the manager dropped the ball and forgot to order the ingredients for the week. Without a shipment, you might run out of ingredients and lose your hottest selling item. It is up to you and your fellow bakers to project how far the ingredients you have left will take you through the week.
Okay, so the ingredients that we have left is right there on that page for you. 45 cups of butter, 65 cups of sugar, 140 cups of milk, and 250 cups of flour. So what you have to do is, based on each ingredient, what is the maximum number of cookies that you can make with the given ingredient? So the one that I'm going to show for you is butter. And we're live. Okay, we're back. So let's look at how we would find how many cookies we can make given that amount of butter. So first, just like we did last week when we were doing molar ratios, we're going to start with a given and an unknown. From the problem, we're given 4 different ingredients. So the first one that we're doing is we have 45 cups of butter. I'm going to denote that CB, okay? And our unknown, what we want to know is the number of cookies that we can make. So I'm going to do this first the way that I would do it if we're doing molar ratios, the way that I showed you last week, then I'm going to show you a different way. So the way that I would do it last week is that I would take my given and I would multiply it by a ratio. And I would put my given unit on the bottom and I would put my unknown unit, cookies, on top. And then I would go back to my equation. My ingredients, my chemical equation for cookies tells me that if I want 24 cookies, I need 1 cup of butter. So I have my given and I multiply it by my ratio. So what happens when we multiply? You'll remember that this is over 1. So we're essentially multiplying fractions here. 45 times 24 divided by 1. Look at our units. Cups of butter in the numerator and cups of butter in the denominator. Those are going to cancel out. And what we're left with is 1,080 cookies. So with 45 cups of butter, I can make 1,080 cookies. Okay? That's one way to do it. That's the way that I showed you last week. So our givens are still the same. We're still starting with 45 cups of butter. We still want to find the number of cookies that we can make, okay? But this time I'm going to set up a proportion instead of doing multiplying ratios. So we know from the equation that 1 cup of butter makes 24 cookies. So if I have 45 cups of butter, how many cookies can I make? Okay. Does this look familiar? Can anybody tell me what I would do from this point to solve this problem?
Cross multiply.
Right. I just set up a cross multiplication problem is all. So we're going to multiply this. We're going to multiply this. So let me do that cross multiplication and set it up. X times 1 cup of butter equals 24 cookies times 45 cups of butter. Okay, so now to get X by itself, I got to multiply or divide both sides by cups of butter. So what happens when you divide anything by itself? It cancels out. So cups of butter cancels out cups of butter. Oh, what do we have over here? Cups of butter cancels out cups of butter. And we are left with 1,080 cookies. So if you like multiplying fractions, go ahead and multiply fractions. If you like setting up proportions and doing a little cross multiplication, because that's what algebra taught you, and you're a little more comfortable doing that, you can go ahead and do that. But you'll notice that this is exactly the same. Didn't matter which method we used, we got to the same point, and this setup appeared in both steps. Cross multiplication kind of gives you a little more of a framework, just adds another step to things to make it a little more clear. All right. So if we go back to our worksheet here, how many cookies could we make with the butter? Well, we made 1,080 cookies with 45 cups of butter. And what I would put in here is I would either take a screenshot from my tablet and insert it. If you are going to work, you could work by hand and then take photos of your work and insert it into your worksheet. Or you could use the insert equation and type the equation out like that. I don't care how you do it, but I need to see the numerical setup. Okay, I don't want to see just a final answer because I'm going to give you the final answers. Okay, I want to see your numerical setup so you can show me that you're going through the steps correctly. Okay, so in the slides, here's your IA review. I also put in this example that I just did. If we have 45 cups of butter, we multiply it by our ratio, we end up with 1,080, or we can set up a cross multiplication problem and solve for cookies. Either way works, okay? So what I need you guys to do is go to your worksheet over here and solve the remaining 3.